I think I liked the finance professor, but I did not like, those days, Philip Kotler was like the guru of marketing. And
Hey, Preeti, I remember you mentioning that you wrote a chapter in Philip Kotler's book, didn't you not?
yes,
Did you not?
yes, I did. Yes, I did. So that was
Wonderful.
obviously a crowning glory for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. We can only dream of, right?
Yes, we've all heard about the former Vice President Al Gore
Mm-hmm,
and his movie An Inconvenient Truth.
mm-hmm.
And I actually had the privilege of bringing him to Seattle to launch his premiere presentation of the movie before it was a movie, when it was the
Wow.
slideshow
Mm-hmm.
with Laurie David. And so we brought that to Seattle and we launched the Seattle Climate Protection Initiative. What got me interested is it's almost like a headline story. So what happened was on January 27th, 2017, because of the Syria crisis,
Mm-hmm.
the federal government, President Donald Trump, he signed an executive order
Mm-hmm.
banning 7 predominantly Muslim countries from flying into the US.
True.
And as a result of this executive order, there were several repercussions. And, unfortunately for members of the community, all Indians look alike.
Mm-hmm.
So I was accosted twice during
Okay.
the race. Once at a parking lot at a grocery store, and once at a cafe when I was, sitting with my campaign manager. So this was, with potential bodily harm.
Oh my
So
God.
that was scary.
What was my dream? Not to be stuck in an arranged marriage, but to get a scholarship and to come to America. I found my dream in King County, where I raised my son and worked for the public for 27 years. I launched Seattle's Climate Protection Initiative with Al Gore. My dream is to make the port a world leader and protect its environment. Please vote for me, Preeti for Port, and let's protect what we love about our home.
Paid for by Preeti for Port.
Preeti, welcome back. We will switch gears here and you have been a long time resident of the USA. You've seen the country under transformation. You've seen the community under transformation in Seattle area, across USA and so on. So the Indian diaspora, the subcontinental diaspora in general has it not transformed over the years? And from outside, when we see that, Indians were successful in the American corporate world, and then subsequently now we see that many of the Fortune 100 companies, global giants, are now headed by Indians. No need to repeat those names. We always saw that, in entrepreneurship and taking companies IPO, many of the Indians were very successful. So those things were very well known. But when we look at public service, and when we look at American elections and so on, as while preparing for this, I kind of went in and researched what is this that so many people now contesting? What was it like before? And what I could see was that an Indian got elected to the US Congress way back in the late 50s and 60s. It was Dalip Singh Sand. And for next 50 years or so, one does not see people of Indian origins getting, holding elected office in the USA. Why did the community generally avoid electoral politics in the USA? If you could just, from as a long-term resident, you have some thoughts about it?
So great observation, and I'm not going to speculate historically on trends in terms of when there were rise and or traits of people in and out of politics or public service.
Fair enough.
But I think you generally have kind of got it right, where people have been in the US over the years. We saw, times when there were lots of, for instance, doctors and engineers and, in the Seattle area, for instance, we've had the Boeing company and lots of people who were doctors and, and engineers with the Boeing company. At the same time, we've had, across the country, the community with business, the motels. We've had always in the other jobs, the economy has been well kind of
Then the
serviced.
IT wave.
Then there was the IT wave, the community, the computer science. And I think as the contribution of Indians to the US has always been very, very significant.
Yeah, economy and the jobs both, right?
Yeah,
they created many
exactly.
jobs. They contributed to the economy.
Exactly.
Sure, absolutely.
And in different waves and in different parts of the country.
Sure.
In fact, in the area that I live in the greater Seattle area, just in the past decade, we've seen a 400% growth in just the South Asian Indian community, which is significant.
Right.
And you are right, just in the past, since 2000, we've seen lots of different, pretty significant elected of office where the Indian community has shown interest. Mm-hmm. But before that, there were some few offices. I myself know someone who stood for a small town mayor's office.
Any general reason why they avoided it? Is there a broader sense? As you might have got it, but it's not necessarily a research-based answer. But we can just get a sense as to why people. Is it a generational thing?
So my thinking is, first of all, unlike in other countries like Canada or England and some of the other countries across, we're still a relatively new immigrant community in the US.
True.
So, we're still coming here.
Right.
Whereas in Canada and in England, the Indian community has been there for more generations.
True.
Secondly, I think as we have come here, we're establishing ourselves, and usually your first wave is in your economy. You come here as a professional, or you come here to set up your business, and it's the later generations that you seek home, you establish yourself, and then it is you start finding ways. I mean, elected office is, among other things, giving back to the community. So
right.
That's one way you do that. So I think it's some of that as well.
Right.
And then I think the other thing is that recently, very recently, for a lot of different communities, and it's not just the Indian community, there's been lots of different movements.
Right. So is that more after 2016 or even a little earlier? We now see, emergence in US politics, judiciary, government, and as you rightly say, it's not just the, subcontinental diaspora, but even other communities stepping forward, African immigrants of first generation immigrants and so on. So what changed?
Yeah, I think
like 2016, was it significant or it started even earlier?
Yeah, I think these answers and our thoughts are maybe sinking in the same way. I think recently, since 2000, I think there's a lot of different communities. There's a lot of different issues where we are kind of in harmony saying we need change.
Right.
We need to speak out. We cannot be silent anymore. Whether it's the Me Too movement, whether it's the Black Lives Matter, whatever the challenges are, I think communities are saying we need a voice. And when it is that voice that needs to come up, it's kind of giving that energy and that, it's kind of enabling and that empowerment to all.
Right. Right.
And some of that's moving across different lines.
That brings me to this question. Like, we see some Indians supporting Republicans, some others supporting Democrats. Is the community getting divided across party lines, ideology lines? What's going on? What's your
Um,
observation?
Recently I went on a trip to Chicago to visit my son. My
Okay.
son lives in Chicago.
We understand
And
that if you don't want to take names, we would perfectly understand. We can
oh,
keep it general up
of
to your
course,
comfort level.
of course. And I had a very kind of I had an observation where, and this is not just the Indian South Asian Indian community. I remember that it was not very long ago where we could talk politics, we could talk definitely in America where it's predominantly a two-party system,
Right.
where we could have a discussion on taxes or policies. Hey, we could be married, talk about Maria Shriver and Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Right.
same family, brilliant family of politicians, and have different opinions, and then move on. And
Right.
it was okay.
That was also true of Friends, right? Now we came to know about Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Justice Anton Scalia, and like how they were like, they would hold Christmas parties together, and they were like next day they
Right.
could be on opposite sides of the decision, right?
Exactly. But somehow in the recent few years, that level of, agreeing to disagree,
Mm-hmm.
civil differences of opinion
Absolutely.
has disappeared.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It now seems to strike at core human differences. And your question about, among the Indian diaspora, among South Asian Indians, and how it is translating to the American politics is pretty significant.
Mm.
It's going to some of those core fundamental beliefs. And that's what I'm seeing, unfortunately, with some of the narratives and some of the stories that are going on, not just here in coffee table conversations, but they are being brought to council in local politics, among the community, among Indian elected officials in the US over here. And
So
it's
you're talking
very
about
sad.
what you're saying is polarization, right?
Yes, it's very sad. And it's really not achieving anything.
Okay.
And I really wish it wasn't happening, because it's, like I said, it's not serving any purpose, and our goal should be to come
Come
together
together, right?
and to solve much more important problems: affordable housing, homelessness, the COVID crisis that we're all facing today.
Right, right. And those problems will be, common across the community, right? It is not going to be that the impact is going to be on party lines or something like that, right? It's on
Exactly.
across income lines maybe, but not definitely. These impacts are never on party lines, right? Nobody sort of, there is no laser guided missile saying that like okay, you voted this so you will get this benefit. No such thing. It's on
Exactly.
so I mean, again, for people who are observing it from outside, do you think these, if they sort of the way they are building up and they are manifesting themselves, will it have impact on uh, U.S. foreign policy towards India? Like as more and more people come in and then they have polarized views, what are these long-term effects? Or maybe I'm thinking too much into it, too much into the long term. Will it even go all the way up to Indo-US relations, or will it be just now? Don't magnify, Venkat, these things.
Well, I think, at the end of the day, we as people, as the community, are ultimately responsible for this because we're the ones who have selected the leaders and the politicians who are, creating this kind of, uh, you know, this discord amongst us.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
what we have to do is to go out there and vote because we have to make sure that the voting is not 48% or 49%, but 100%. And
Right.
we have to choose the right leaders who will take the uh, you know get those right priorities out there so that we can move towards harmony, move towards making those right decisions so that we get back to some kind of you know, peace and prioritization and not dwell in things that is not going to get us any harmony.
And
Because
should
then
be
we'll
in the
get the
center to
right,
be able to talk to each other and
right,
have a
then we
difference
have
of
the
views.
right
And
foreign policy, we'll have the right, you know, uh, way forward. Because believe me, we're in a global crisis. We have a pandemic, we have economic recovery to work towards. We have a lot of issues that we can all, harmoniously conquer and not be focusing on how we can tear each other apart.
excellent message, Preeti. And that too, right at the, just we are 3 weeks away from the U.S. elections, not only presidential, but there are, for the Senate seats and so on and so forth. So excellent message. We would, I think that's a very positive appeal and tone where we could bring this conversation to the end. Listeners, please join us in future conversations. We would bring more such conversations from experts in various fields like Preeti. Preeti, it was wonderful to have you today and get an understanding of many of the things that we sort of see about USA, about the Indian community in USA, and what's going on, and and get a better sense, better understanding. Thank you for sharing your experience, your insights, and so on. And viewers, please join us, subscribe to Move Conversations, and look forward to seeing you once again in the next one. Preeti,
Thank
thank you
you
so
very
much.
much. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.